तदेतदृचाभ्युक्तम् क्रियावन्तः श्रोत्रियो ब्रह्मनिष्ठा स्वयं जुह्वत् एकर्षि श्रद्धयन्तः तेषामेवैतां ब्रह्मविद्यां वदेत शिरोव्रतं विधिवत् यस्तु चीर्णम् तदेतत्तदृचाभ्युक्तम् क्रियावन्तः श्रोत्रियो ब्रह्मनिष्ठा स्वयं जुह्वत् एकर्षि श्रद्धयन्तः तेषामेवैतां ब्रह्मविद्यां वदेत शिरोव्रतं विधिवत् यैस्तु चीर्णम् तत् एतत् तदेतत् tat is that, yetat is this. This is the famous quotation from the Rig Veda. Tadetat, too short a word, too profound a meaning. Tadetat, it is declared in the Vedic verse. So that which is declared in the Vedic verse, what that is this? To them alone should one expound this knowledge of Brahman. This mantra he is giving the prerequisite of who is an adhikari to receive this knowledge. To them alone. Should one expound this knowledge of Brahman, who observe the spiritual practices. Kriyavanta, who perform, observe spiritual practices, well versed in Vedantic knowledge. Shrotriyaha, devoted to Brahman. Brahmanishtaha, who is devoted or who is founded in the Brahman. Shraddhayantaha, with Shraddha, with consistent faith. Sacrifice to Ekarshi, which means the fire, and duly observe Shirovrataha. Vidhivat, one who duly performs the fire ritual by observing Shirovrataha. I'll explain what these terms are. Tadetat, that is the, when he says that is this, what does it mean? Declared in the Vedic verse. So it is the highest declarations. Where do you locate? Tat refers to Brahman. This refers to the world. This is the finite. That is the infinite. So one who reaches that state of realization experiences the Brahman in all. Tadetat. He experiences the self in everything. Rather than getting caught up in the finite, he is able to foresee the infinite in the finite. Tadetat. You don't see. What is the perception of a person who is caught up in the finite? He's caught up in the pluralistic phenomenon. He's caught up in the Nama Rupa. He gets into a conflict with the Nama Rupa. But one who is merged with the self, in him there is no conflict with the world. There is no difference with the world because he's become one. He sees the same oneness in all. Tadetat, that is this declared in the Vedic verse. Means this is the highest declaration, which is the very first aphorism which we have learned. Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman alone is the reality. You and I don't see Brahman. We don't experience Brahman. It's a matter of fact. When we don't experience Brahman, what do we see? We see non-Brahman. We are caught up in the world, which is the Nama Rupa. So either way you interpret it, Brahman alone is, which is the highest declaration. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Again, sometimes it may be a little too much to swallow, but Brahman alone is, that is this, which is the highest declarations. Now, to whom should this be taught? It is the onus of the Guru that it should be taught to an adhikari. Now, I don't put any screening test for you to enter here. But what is the qualification? One who wants it will seek it. Who am I to keep knocking at your door and say, where are you? What are you doing? How are you? Other day when I was talking to somebody, Srinivas Reddy, I think he's traveling. I was telling to him, I am the person who is the least social. Tomorrow you drop out of this knowledge. I will not knock at your door and keep behind you and say, what is this? Where are you? My only association with you is to the extent you are interested in seeking the self. If you are distracted, if you've found your own path, I say wish you the best and I move on. Otherwise, I can go on socializing with the host of people I've known in my life. And that itself will consume me, that itself will occupy my entire life. My priority is, you want it, you will seek it. That is my way of trying to filter out. But the Shastras say, to them alone one should expound this knowledge of Brahman, who observe the spiritual practices. Kriyavan. What are the spiritual practices? The karma, bhakti, jnanam. Every day you must perform karma, which is to go one step beyond your ability to serve. Karma is not a mechanical routine activity. A morning I get up, I brush my teeth, I go to the washroom, clear my bowels, I have my coffee, I do some reading, then I do some work, I go to my office. This is not routine mechanical work. Then I do my Sandhya Mandaram, then I do this one, I chant Gayatri Mantra, I eat to my stomach's full. This is not routine activity. Karma is an action driven by an ideal where you will take that extra step, where you go the extra mile to serve that cause. That spirit of sacrifice injected at every step of the way. That is karma. Karma is not routine mechanical work. So the fire of the ideal is so strong that your actions will burn the selfishness to reach there. What actions will get me to the goal? Only sacrificial actions. So karma is to perform those sacrificial actions at every action. Like every time I perform an action, do I not have a choice? Am I doing that action for myself or for the larger good? That choice all the time I have. And how can I limit my action when I serve to a higher cause? I must raise the bar. So that karma, bhakti is to identify with the self. Your heart should feel that oneness with the self. Jnanam is the constant reflection between the Nitya and Anitya. So this knowledge should be given to those who kriyavan, who observe these spiritual practices. So ask yourself, am I practicing these spiritual practices? To what extent you should do? To the extent your constitution demands. You're karma yogi, you must perform karma. You're a bhakta, you must initiate, trigger that bhakti, identify with the Lord through the heart. You are a jnani, engage your head with the intellect. Expound this knowledge of Brahman to who observe spiritual practices, who are well versed in Vedantic knowledge. Means they are Shrotriya, who are quite knowledgeable. I don't have to teach Sanskrit to you and then teach you Upanishads. Because the Upanishads are in Sanskrit. I don't understand A and U. I'm teaching grammar to you. I'm not teaching the do I teach the content or do I teach the language? But those who are equipped with the language and are familiar with the content, it's a different dialogue. It's a different wavelength. The frequency is different. What's the dialogue between two professionals? Okay, example. What is the dialogue between a patient, the patient's family, or the patient is trying to ask something to the surgeon about the upcoming surgery? The doctor will acquaint them with what is going to happen, what precautions you got to take, what you need to do. And later, the surgeon is talking to the doctors who are preparing for the surgery. What is the dialogue? What is the wavelength of the conversation between the surgeon and the assisting surgeons and the doctors who are going to go into the surgery? A different wavelength. Invariably, the doctors or the surgeons don't talk to the patients directly because they get questions. They'll ask, can I eat tur dal? Can I eat uh, uh, everything? What are the things I'm allowed to do? They're only interested in those, you know, they don't have an idea or a clue as to what it is that they are doing. So that the transaction level is different. So if you are equipped, if you are Shrotriya, it gives you a different prerequisite to understand the text. And then he says, Brahmanishtaha, who is devoted to Brahman. What do you mean devoted to Brahman? Oh, he's very devoted to his work. Haresh, when you use the word devoted, what do you gather out of it? He says you must Brahmanishtaha, who is founded or devoted to Brahman.
Devoted, very committed to the very committed, basically.
Devoted means committed. Where you use those usual words, you can say he's devoted to his work, but we wrongly use and say devoted to wife, which should not be, no? Devoted to God. So here he says devoted to Brahman, means one who is so dedicated, determined to get to Brahman. He is so committed. He's established in the thought that he must reach Brahman. That is what is being determined. Now, how many of us are determined or devoted to Brahman? The problem is we all have a divided loyalty to Brahman. We very conveniently put aside Brahman and say, I've got a loyalty towards my work, I've got a loyalty towards my wife, I've got loyalty towards my children, I've got loyalty towards myself. So in that process, I perhaps denounce Brahman. So being devoted to Brahman, Brahmanishta, was established in the thought. Yes, we can say it is surrendered. Surrender. See, surrender usually happens in areas, in fact, if you say surrender happens in areas of ignorance. You surrender to a doctor because you don't know what's happening to you. You surrender to your architect because there are some defects you notice in the structure. You surrender to a lawyer if you're battling a legal issue. Somebody sends you a legal notice. You don't know how to respond to that. You surrender to a lawyer. So surrender always implies a state of helplessness and seeking help in areas of ignorance. This is the implication when you use the word surrender. But being devoted here refers to being so committed, being established in the thought. So there is a slight difference in the connotation. Don't go by the English words. We are trying to get by the philosophical implication. Then he says Kriyavan. Kriyavan, we already said. No, Kriyavan is one who observes the spiritual practices, who is established Shrotriyaha, Brahmanishtaha, and has with Shraddha, Shraddhavan, consistent faith. Now, my question is, if I am already Brahmanishtaha, if I am Shrotriyaha, if I am Kriyavan, if I have Shraddha, why do I need this Upanishad? Why do you need a guru? I'm already established in Brahman. I'm already practicing spiritual practices. I'm already well versed in the theoretical knowledge. I have the Shraddha in me. Then why do I attend this Mundaka class, Upanishad class? Why do I need a guru? I'm already qualified. Because he says, to one who has this knowledge of Brahman should be expounded. Yes, you understand the question? I knew that. Some people go through a transition phase, no? That you're in a transition phase, correct? Huh?
Yes.
What am I asking?
That's what I don't know.
Now, the question is, he's saying this knowledge should be expounded to people who have these qualities. But my observation is, if one who has these qualities, why would he need to go to a guru? Because the qualities themselves are so extraordinary. One who has Shraddha, one who is well versed in this theoretical knowledge, one who has who is devoted to Brahman, and so on, and who practices the karma bhakti jnana. Why would he need? So where's the question of seeking Brahma Vidya to a man who has already this?
To be self-realized, maybe you need that small, Aklavya, somebody who's self-realized as to, he has all the knowledge, but he may not be self-realized. Yes, that last bit of vasanas in him.
No, it's established. You're still transition phase. So you will get little more time. No. We're not talking of that aspect here. We're talking about if a person is so, if he already has these qualities, why do you need a guru? Because one who comes to this knowledge, we may take it as an approach that we are trying to inculcate these qualities, right? When you come to this knowledge, you come and try and practice these qualities. But one who's already perfected in these qualities, why would he need anything else? What I'm saying is the prerequisite itself is very, very high, which is itself very high level. If you see it. Hariji.
Guruji, in spite of the fact that one may have that high knowledge, but there is still a danger that he can fall. For consistency, so that there is no question of falling every time that there is a trend, not necessarily a downfall, a trend towards the lower, the Guru props him up so that he doesn't have a chance to fall down. Gita, in Bhagavad Gita also, it is said even a jnani has got a chance to fall, which we see in various cases in Puranas. Well-known saints and sages, they become prey to a weakness. The Guru props. Consistency.
All right. Any other thoughts? Arpiji.
So going back to your mountain metaphor, is it depending on where you are in the journey for the highest? It's kind of I'm going from, I don't know all the base camps in Everest are, but let's say it's the highest base camp before you seek the summit. It's just a final confirmation. Do you have what it takes before you, because the final stage is that sort of meditation where there's nothing else. So you've kind of checked, you've made sure you have all this. It's just another final check before you attain the next level of your assault on the summit, if you will. It's just a confirmation to say, yes, do I have this? Is this who I am? To then make that final. And then, it's going back to the, what is it? The pole vaulter, right? You have the pole and you need that confirmation that the pole is going to hold me up. I have what it takes, but then at the end, you have to let that go as well. It feels like that. I don't know if that's correct or not, but that's what it feels like. Not to say that it's a checklist, but in the mind, if there are any doubts, if there is any, these are the ultimate qualities needed to then make that ultimate dash to the summit. Do I have it? Am I convinced? Do I have the conviction to do that? Only then can I really enter the stage of meditation.
All right.
And I think for others, it's just inspirational, right? For those that aren't at that level, it's saying, look, even though you're not at this level, here are the things that you need to aspire to. Try to work out in your own life. So even if you're just starting off, it's the highest, but it serves as an inspiration or aspirational goal to have Shraddha, to be well versed in this knowledge so that you can even just start your journey, or like some of us who have gone and come back, what an evening to come back on, right? So this is that kind of brings focus to those that are perhaps midstream in their journey to further energize it. So it's not just for the highest seeker, but it meets the needs of all those that seek the truth.
All right. I'll hold my comments for now because I might be answering myself. Yes, Setuji?
To give up the last attachment to Guru itself. So still he is attached to the Brahman or attached to Guru. So he has to get liberated. So Guru helps him to get that last liberation. Like as he said on pole vaulting, leaving the pole. But that attachment has to be left. Guru pushes him for or helps him.
In fact, all of you are echoing that same thought, that a guru can pull a student to the level higher than where he is. But what happens is the entire dialogue between a teacher and a qualified student is way different to a dialogue between a teacher and an unprepared student. In fact, if there is an unprepared student, he will come and give a lecture to the guru. Not to be disrespectful. Whenever I get guests coming and wanting to meet, there was an occasion other day, a person came and he gave 2 hours lecture to me. Sitting in the institute, I was listening to him. And then he said to me, "And do you have anything to say?" "Oh, thank you for asking," I told myself. "What are your thoughts?" "Oh, you are interested in my thoughts? That's nice to know." 2 hours passed. And I am a very patient listener. I keep listening, and then go home and let go my frustration on the family. So if my family gets a piece of my mind, it's because of the frustration I have to face listening to all the. And if you ask me, the whole exercise that I heard was, what all I heard was like that. It's just a piece of rubbish. Nothing made sense to me. Man has come all the way to tell something. Let me lend my ears. Made no sense to me what he was talking. So go back to the example of a surgeon talking to other surgeon vis-a-vis a surgeon talking to an illiterate patient. What's the conversation? So if the student is qualified, the whole sadhana is elevated. It's a different frequency altogether. Like a person who is scaling the summit and one who is just going up to the base camp, it's just a two different ball game. Now, the same concept is actually brought out in the Atma Bodha, the very first verse of Atma Bodha. We are missing Gayatri Ma, otherwise she would have shared the verse for you all, but I'm sure you all are aware of the verse. We'll chant the verse so you get and I explain the context. Tapobhikshina papanam shantanam vitaraginam mumukshu namapekshoyam atma bodho vidhiyate. Now, Adi Shankaracharya, in the very first verse of Atma Bodha, he says this Atma Bodha means the knowledge of the self, is being composed to serve the needs of those. First, he says, Kshina Papanam, whose sins are removed, Vitaraginam, who are free from desires, Shantanam, who are calm, Mumukshunam, who have the yearning for liberation. Now you may say, sir, oh, this Atma Bodha is being composed to serve the needs of those who are free from desires. If I'm already free from desires, why do I need Atma Bodha? Who are removed from, whose sins are removed by austerities. Now, if I have removed my sins from austerity, why do I need Atma Bodha? So when you read the very qualities itself, the very quality itself, if you magnify it itself, is perfection. That's what I'm trying to say. Any of the prerequisite to come to this knowledge, which is the quality to make an adhikari, if you magnify it to a point of fault, itself is perfection. Vitaraginam, free from desires, is a state of realization. Kshina papanam, free from sins, itself is perfection. So if this knowledge is being composed to serve the needs of those who have those qualities, am I not already reached perfection? Then why do you need a guru? Exactly the same way. The qualities that this particular mantra tells, how do we approach it? What we must understand is, to the extent the student has the qualities, to that extent your receptivity is far greater. You're far more attuned to receive the Brahma Vidya from the Guru. Your receptacles are far more tuned in because you have the ability to receive the knowledge, the ability to process the knowledge, the ability to transform yourself. Otherwise, it falls on deaf ears because you're not ready, you're not receptive. So the more you have these qualities, the better equipped you are to do your sadhana. Like if I put my clock back 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 30 odd years ago when I started my journey, the ability with which I'm able to do sadhana now is not the same what I did 20, 10, 5 years ago. What has changed in me? My ability to perform the sadhana is greater. So my ability to receive this knowledge is greater because I have become a better student. So one who is endowed with these qualities, he is better equipped to receive this knowledge. He is able to absorb the teachings of the Guru better. He is able to absorb the knowledge better. He is able to transform it much better. So the more the qualities you have, the easier it becomes for you to do your sadhana. The Guru may be saying the same thing what he has said before, but your ability to receive has changed because you've become a better person. So you magnify any of the qualities perfection, but the objective is not to dissuade you. The object is actually to encourage you that if you come prepared, if you are well equipped with this Shrotriya, Brahmanishtha, Kriyavan, and Shraddhayanta, with these 4 qualities mentioned in the verse, if you have these qualities, it will help you to absorb and receive the knowledge better. That's how one should take it. And one who is ready, the Guru will take you to the higher level, as the examples were given of the pole vaulter or the concept of trying to free you from your attachments. The Guru does that, but the student has to be ready. If the student is not ready, as I told you, no Guru will knock at your door and say, come, wake up. You don't want to wake up. You want to be in your slumber. He will leave you there. He will not waste his time knocking at doors who are not interested. That is not his job. You want it, you go knock his door and disturb him. He's not going to disturb you. And then he talks of sacrifice to Ekarshi and duly observe Shirovrataha. The Ekarshi is the fire. So Shirovrata is a ritual. I don't know any one of you have performed this ritual, but Shirovrataha is a ritual of carrying a mud pot with fire on a shaven head. I repeat, Shirovrataha is the ritual of carrying a fire in a mud pot on a shaven head. So you don't have to perform the ritual to draw the symbolic representation. What are the aspects of comparison that needs clarity here? You don't have to shave your head. You don't have to carry the mud pot on your head. But it is symbolic. What is the symbolism? UK. I'd have asked Ramji, he would have been very angry with me because that is his prerequisite. We don't have to do that. You also don't be angry with me, UK, huh?
No, that's the last thing, Guruji. I'll be
thank you.
angry with myself for the ignorance. That's all.
So have you noted this ritual before?
No,
You've
no, Guruji.
never seen this
No,
ritual.
no.
It's a very pre-Vedic ritual, you know.
Okay.
So what is the symbolism of fire on your head? So there is the symbolism we are trying to draw is the fire, which is the Ekarshi, on your head
Shaven head.
and shaven head.
Shaven head denotes that you have given up all your egos and that is the symbolism, Guruji. And mud pot refers to a temporary, which is not permanent. It is a fleeting existence. And fire carrying on the head. Not sure, Guruji.
So the shaven head symbolizes that you have people is a tradition, no? That people go to a pilgrimage or a temple. You go to Balaji, you shave off your head, the tonsure. What does it symbolize? That you have got rid of all your
Desires.
worldly desires.
Yeah.
Like a brahmana or a pujari, he keeps a tuft, no?
Tuft.
What is the symbolism of a tuft? A symbolism of a tuft. Tuft is I have selected few desires or vasanas. I'm holding on to. Rest of them I am not interested to pursue, or I've dropped them.
Yeah.
So that tuft symbolizes the last few chosen desires, the sattvic desires.
Yes, Guruji.
Right? So that's quite right. The egos and selfishness and desires are dropped off. The fire symbolizes the mumukshatva,
Okay.
the fire to realize the self. So I'm carrying the fire on my head, means the intellect is fired with the desire to gain liberation. Otherwise, you can comfortably carry on your shoulders or your waist also.
Yeah.
Or you can put in a backpack also.
True.
True.
You can't. I mean,
No, I'm only saying that for example's sake, and you're
I
giving
mean, you
endorsement to
can
everything.
no, Guruji. It means that you can carry
Please don't.
No, you can carry it anywhere else. It doesn't have any significance.
That much of respect, you should not have everything the Guru says, you say yes, ma. Please don't. You should not carry in backpack. You should not carry on your shoulders or the waist. You have to carry on your head.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Thank you, ma. So the symbolism of the fire on your head means your intellect is fired with the ideal of mumukshatva. The fire is the mumukshatva. The head means the intellect. The intellect has dropped every other pursuit, but it is fired with that one goal. So, ekarshi shraddhayantaha. And this is performed with shraddha. Shirovrataha. Then you come to the realization of experiencing that is this. So when you have all these prerequisite qualities, and when you perform the ritual as we drew the symbolism with consistent and determined faith, you get to experience tadetadsha bhuktam. That is this declared in the Vedic mantra. That declaration in the Vedic mantra becomes an anubhavam. It becomes your experience.